Thank you for joining us for this special edition of Denver 7 News at 6. I'm Shannon Ogden. Now, right now, the puck's about to drop at Ball Arena. Ball Arena is packed for Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals. Now, the Avs are the highest scoring team in the playoffs. The Lightning have the experience factor here. They are two-time defending Cup champs. And for those who didn't snatch a seat inside the arena, don't worry, there's plenty of watch parties tonight. Denver 7's Russell Haythorne is at one of the big ones, Tivoli Quad. A lot of fun out there, Russ.
Yeah, getting bigger and bigger as we speak, Shannon. Let's pan around and show you what's going on here in the Tivoli Quad. Fans are starting to gather. This one just about to start. Puck drop at about 6 o'clock tonight, and Avs fans can't get enough. So here in the Tivoli Quad, this is a free watch party for all of those who didn't want to drop $600-700 on a ticket to tonight's game. This thing open to the public. Essentially, you have beer tent after beer tent after beer tent and plenty of monitors for fans to catch the game. Not a bad seat in the house. We talked to some fans earlier today.
They've already beaten this team twice this season. All they have to do is do it 4 more times and we got it.
I think it's going to come down to goaltending. Vasilevsky has proved himself. He's one of the best playoff goalies. I love our team to death too, don't get me wrong. We have the lineup, the depth in our lineup now thanks to Sakic, and I think we have a shot if we keep putting up 40 shots on their goalie. He can't save them all.
I think he's right. I think we have a shot. Here's another cool thing about this watch party. Food trucks lining the east side of the quad. I'd say about a dozen food trucks or so are here this evening. So something for everyone. Come on out and join us if you'd like to. Again, this watch party free to the public. We'll toss it back to you.
I believe there are beer tents involved. Thanks, Russ. And the Stanley Cup's such a great opportunity to show people from all over the world just what Colorado has to offer. And it comes at a perfect time for the state's tourism industry as it's rebounding from the toll of the pandemic. Well, Denver 7's Russell Haythorne is giving us a 360 view at efforts to bring visitors back to colorful Colorado.
Few states have a reputation quite like colorful Colorado.
Get your camera ready. Colorado is on the bucket list of so many Americans.
This is one of the most dynamic and vibrant states.
No matter if it's business travel or meetings or leisure.
We come up here to see a show at Red Rocks.
We want to inspire people to come to Colorado because we can recommend them to particular attractions, excursions, or experiences that they might not have thought about.
The State Tourism Office captures Colorado's beauty perfectly in a new campaign called Shine a Little Brighter.
Colorado. Come to life.
Tim Wolf is the director of the Colorado Tourism Office, or CTO, and says while tourism is a lifeblood, travel revenues took a huge hit during COVID, down from $24 billion in 2019 in Colorado to $15 billion in 2020.
Tourism was this, and then it got to this.
But it is bouncing back.
All the signs are pointing in the right direction right now.
We're going 360, starting with Patrick Pahlke, Chief Marketing and Commercial Officer for Sage Hospitality.
What we've really focused on during the last 2 years is to amp up the experiential part at our properties.
Come take a look.
Sage's Raleigh Hotel directly across from Coors Field is a prime example of that, pairing America's pastime with overnight stay in Lodo.
Game days around here, there's just this buzz of energy. It's just like electric. Everything kind of Colorado rolled into one.
It certainly worked on Jason and Julie Gilmore from Tulsa.
She talked me into buying the purple shirt.
They came for a concert and are now catching a ball game, too.
So we just literally came downstairs and bought some t-shirts.
Pahlke says the leisure traveler is back, but business is still down. Some experts say 30%, which is why the state is ramping up tourism spending.
It is so encouraging to see that, both entities, the state of Colorado and the city of Denver, are prioritizing tourism spending again.
The state plans to sink an additional $9 million into tourism this year and next.
We were cooped up without our social interactions, and so now we want to go be social and be engaged. Revenge travel is huge right now.
We caught up with Christian Hardegree at Metropolitan State University of Denver's spring graduation. The dean of the School of Hospitality says Colorado needs to strike while the iron's hot. and capitalize on pent-up demand.
I think we have to think about the folks who don't know about Colorado. We're trying to bring in new people. We're not trying to sell the people already sold.
She's 100% right.
Colorado is greatly outspent on tourism marketing by other states, including California, Arizona, Michigan, and Florida, to name a few.
The budgets and the campaigns from these other states are becoming extremely aggressive.
California, for example, spends about $195 million on tourism campaigns compared to Colorado's $20 million annually, about 10 times more.
Arizona's 3 times more, Wyoming is more.
So the more they invest in it, the more we need to, or they're going to take our travelers away from us.
Moffat County says spend it.
There isn't a country in the world that doesn't invest in trying to get people to come and visit them. Why? Because people leave money behind when they come and play.
Tom Kleinschnitz heads up tourism in Moffat County, home of Dinosaur National Monument.
Who doesn't like dinosaurs? The topography in that spot will just take your breath away. And the Yampa River goes right through the middle of our county. It's the most beautiful river in the state of Colorado, in my view. It is certainly the most natural.
But there's also pushback amongst some who say Colorado doesn't need any more tourists than it already attracts.
The community of Steamboat has actually given direction to our chamber to cut back on marketing for tourism.
Linda Cullen is the owner of Chez New, a women's store in Steamboat. She, for one, enjoys the crowds, but also believes there must be a balance. Many residents say it's simply hard to get around during peak travel periods.
It creates infrastructure problems just for the locals. We always joke about they come in and want to lock the gate at the bottom of the pass.
It's a great point, and we certainly have a lot of visitors.
Wolf agrees with Cullen. His team even created Do Colorado Right, a new campaign to encourage responsible travel, like being kind to waitstaff as the restaurant industry battles unprecedented staffing shortages.
That's how you do Colorado right.
Wolf says international travel to Colorado is also still down about 50% as of the first quarter of 2022.
And those are really high value and high paying guests that come and spend in retail and restaurants, and they also stay longer, and they stay on those shoulders, those Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, which are needed times for the mountains and the ski industry.
Time will tell if it's all money well spent. Russell Haythorne, Denver 7.
Russell Haythorne doing double duty tonight for us. Well, sports betting's been legal now in Colorado for 2 years. Hockey is the third most popular sport to bet on. So we checked, and the odds makers at BetMGM give the Avs a 61% chance of winning the series. Folks over at Caesars say people have been betting since before the season.
Very popular is the Avalanche to win in a sweep 4-0, which plus 800, a nice return if you can get it. And obviously if you win the first 2 at home, great advantage. Then there's boosts on McKinnon and Stamkos each to score a goal, which is always popular.
And Caesars tells us somebody in Colorado bet $10,000 on the Lightning to win it all. Now that bet was placed before the season. The odds at that time were 11-1. So here's hoping that person doesn't see a dime of that potentially $110,000 payout. All right, in other news for you tonight, an FDA panel voted to approve COVID vaccines for very young children. They voted to expand emergency use authorization for Moderna for those 6 months through 5 years, and for Pfizer for 6 months through 4 years old. The next steps for the FDA to grant authorization, and then the CDC will decide whether to approve the shots. That vote's expected to come Saturday, so young children could start getting shots by next week. The Federal Reserve raised interest rates 3/4 of a point today to try to tame inflation. This is the biggest move from the central bank since 1994. Fed Chairman Jerome Powell said he plans to keep on raising rates until prices come down. And other big stories we're following tonight. A Loveland family has filed a lawsuit against the city's police department over an incident that happened during the arrest of a 14-year-old and her father. Denver 7's Megan Lopez spoke to the family about just what happened.
It started at the Safeway parking lot in Loveland. The 14-year-old was riding her bike and spotted her boyfriend with another girl. She confronted him, slapped him, and then rode off. It's that slap that prompted police to respond first to Safeway and then to the girl's house to arrest her.
I was outside working on my daughter's bike, and I seen 4 police officers show up.
This is the body camera footage from that arrest. Police first spoke with her father and asked him to call her out to talk.
It just got really escalated really quick. And next thing you know, they're wrestling with her, and I couldn't do anything. I was helpless, watching my daughter getting manhandled by 3 other police officers. It's horrifying, terrifying.
John Sears started arguing with the officers, telling them he wanted to put his dog inside so it wouldn't bite them. He says officers shot a loved one's dog in the past and he was trying to avoid that. Officers wouldn't let him put the dog in the house. He tried anyway, and they shoved him and eventually tased him.
I was mad, I was scared. I've never been in a situation quite like that before.
The officers are then seen on body cameras carrying the dog by its collar into the house and kicking it. Both John and his daughter were arrested, but charges were eventually dropped. Now the family is suing the police department over their use of force.
The violence that the Loveland police inflicted in this case was so needless. It was so senseless.
The family's attorney, Sarah Shelke, says this is just the latest incident to come to light about the Loveland Police Department.
Really, it's like a testament to how bad things are at Loveland, is that they know they're being recorded and they don't change their behavior.
The city of Loveland has now initiated an independent review of the incident, telling Denver 7 in a statement, quote, "The incidents were initially reviewed and deemed appropriate at the time of the event, but the city is taking a second outside look at the incident in our efforts to ensure we are policing in a respectful and proper manner." As for John Sears, he says his main priority is accountability.
What if it's your child and you're the parent?
In Loveland, Megan Lopez, Denver 7.
Coming up on Denver 7 News at 6, an injury leaves one high school gymnast down, but not out. Now, we have this athlete's inspiring story of coming back in the same season to compete in the state championships.